Hi everybody, it's me Willow and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm back again with another video for all of you guys. I'm here with another movie review. Today it is Clint Bentley's new film, Train Dreams. I was able to go to Toronto to the TIFF Lightbox and catch this movie in 35 millimeter. I was able to just squeeze it in between work orientation, and it worked out perfectly, and it was so worth seeing it in the 35 millimeter. It did start off a little shaky, if I'm being honest. Some of my friends have critiqued the 35 millimeter in the past for being shaky and causing motion sickness. Luckily, after a little bit, it was able to subside and the shakiness disappeared. But just so you guys know, if you go see it at the TIFF Lightbox, it might be a little shaky, but it does disappear. There was one moment, I think, when they were trying to thread the pieces together, that it was kind of lopsided at a little bit. But beside that, I had a great time, and I always love seeing film that's on film, so it was awesome. I had little expectations for this film because I didn't know much about it. I actually missed it back at TIFF. I did get into the rush line for the film pretty late, and nobody was let into that rush line. It was a sold out show. I ended up going into something else afterwards, and it kind of left my mind. Had it in there with some of the other smaller films that have been circling awards season, and it's always been there in the back of my mind to have it on one of my awards predictions, leagues that I'm in. It's on my team. So, I've always had some hope for this film that maybe it can garner some positive reception and maybe it will start to blow up in awards season. But we just got it today, just released limitedly here on November 7th, and I'm happy I was able to see it before it goes on Netflix because I just really think this film deserves to be seen in cinemas. It was so gorgeous, just breathtaking. I would really describe this film as magical, very emotionally moving to the soul. It's kind of like a slow pace, grueling story of this man and just his life and what he's been through and all the hardships that he's faced. And like I said, I didn't really have much expectations. I didn't really know what the film was about, and it just blew me out of the water. I really highly recommend Train Dreams for everybody. I think Joel Edgerton gives a phenomenal performance, and I don't know why we're not talking about him more for Best Actor. His performance is just stunning. I was brought to tears several times during this movie. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about how flippin' sad and moving Train Dreams is. This is really kind of like a ghost story, being haunted by your past mistakes. Why didn't you speak up? Why weren't you there when the people in your life needed you the most? Very, very haunting tale. And I was crying within 10 minutes of this movie. I was teary-eyed, and it just was consistent throughout the rest of the film as well. I know a lot of people saying Hamnet is the saddest film out right now for the award season, but I think Train Dreams is a tearjerker as well. And if I'm being honest, I think I actually cried a little bit more in Train Dreams than I did in Hamnet. So I don't know. I was very, very moved by Joel Edgerton's performance. I would highly suggest watching this film just for him, but the other supporting performances are also very amazing as well. I think Felicity Jones holds her own. She's kind of more in the first half of the film, and it's definitely a supporting role. She's kind of there to give Joel's character like a goal, something to look forward to when he comes home from work. He wants to be there and see Gladys, his beautiful and loving wife, who's just so smart and they just click so well. Like a really beautiful, blossoming love story as well in this film between Gladys and Robert. Very, very beautiful. And then they give birth to their daughter, and just seeing the scenes between the three of them at their home and just like spending time with the animals and nature really is beautiful. They played this short little clip of Joel and Felicity during TIFF 50. They did an interview for the film and they mentioned how this film really does bring you back to the simple times. And I highly agree with that. I think being removed from like social media or even just any sort of like mixed media, we're just there with our bare hands and sawing these humongous forces of nature and just trying to build our homes and stake our place in the world. Very, very, like I said, magical, moving, and really makes you think. Like, I was there and I'm going through a big transition in my life as well, like with some different jobs, and I'm trying to lean more into like the artist in me, and that's really scaring and daunting. And this film kind of highlighted all of those. And it's like, what is our purpose here in this world? And I think it's to just be there and become one with the world and try and find that moment that brings that to us, brings us that inner peace. And I think this film really captures that perfectly. Like I mentioned, the cinematography is a standout for this film, just breathtaking, really does capture the earth just in its glorious mother nature, just all these like simplistic and natural and just like stunning. Like you don't realize how good we have it until it's gone. And I think that's what this film really does highlight. I think they show that with us in our personal life and also how man can affect nature in that way. And I really do love William H. Macy's speech at one point around a fire, and he's discussing how over time you really do see the damage that we're doing to these 500 or 1,000-year-old trees, and we're just cutting them down like that and not even giving a second thought to it. And then, like, a younger logger chimes in and he says, well, I'm going to have money in my pocket tomorrow and I'm not thinking about these damn trees. And William H. goes, I thought the same thing when I was your age. And now he's there, alone, like, won't leave the logging seasons. He's always there. He can't even do the work anymore because he's reaching such an old age. But he's just entranced by this beauty and also like the damage they've done to this beauty, and how the trees and Mother Nature will always come back to avenge. And this is what Robert is kind of dealing with, this cycle of, things he's done in the past. Maybe he should have speaked up and tried to help others who needed help, and he just stayed back as a bystander. And now all of this stuff is affecting his own life and it's coming up to catch him. And I think they really reflect that well with this one other scene too. On a new logging gig, Robert meets this man who's very influenced by the Bible, and he kind of stands out because he's a big talker, whereas all the other men on the jobs are usually only types of people who will speak if they're spoken to, and kind of makes this big differentiance between this man and all the other loggers, including Robert. And one day there's this one character and he comes out of the blue, announces himself to all the loggers and says he's looking for this certain man. Turns out to be the religious man. He tries to run away and then the man shoots him down, and turns out the religious man had shot that man's brother in the past, and he went and found him and was going to search to the end of his days until he could avenge his brother. So I feel like that scene was really reflective of the overall theme of the story of how our past is always out to haunt us, and we will forever be looking over our shoulders until our past finally comes up to us. So I think that was really beautifully shown in that scene. And I just think Adolfo Valesso, I think that's how the cinematographer's name is pronounced, did a terrific job on this film. It was just so beautiful how he was able to capture like all the different sunsets and the sunrises, all the different trees, and I really loved the different scenes where like the trees would like fall towards the camera and you could really feel like the shaking and as if you were there, the first person perspective. I really did love all the different aspects of making this film feel so isolated, yet at the same time, you feel so homey at different moments, and you just feel also like scared as well when you're with Robert and he's having all these different nightmares and like the ghosts are coming back to haunt him. Very, very chilling, magical, moving. I just was such a fantastic film. Like I said, I really was not expecting much from this film because I feel like not a lot of people have been talking about it, but I'm so happy that I was able to catch it because Adolfo and Clint, they just bring together this beautiful piece of the world and just showing us that we really should take a beat and just enjoy the people around us, enjoy nature, and enjoy the life that we have because we can be searching for the rest of our life for that one moment to give us peace and it may never come. So we should really enjoy the moment and give our love to those around us and support those. I think it's also very interesting how this film kind of highlights dementia and people's health fading and how we should really give gratitude and patience to those people because they were once us, and like the different scenes of like showing the loggers who have passed and how there's like a symbolizing of their boots that are nailed into the trees after they've passed away, so a piece of them will never be forgotten. But the fact that we are cutting down these trees, oh, so heartbreaking. Such like really does give you a lot to think about, if I'm being honest. I also want to shout out Kerry Condon. She only has a small role in the film, but I think she does a terrific job with it. Her scene with Joel and they're on the top of like the fire watchtower. I really love that moment between them. Joel gets a beautiful monologue where he really does open up and explains his whole backstory as Robert and what this man has gone through and what he's lost. And Carrie's character is able to open up and kind of relate, and he's able to feel like maybe he's not entirely alone and he's not going crazy for the things that he's feeling and the things that he's hearing since he has gone through so many traumatic things. So, really do love that moment between them. I think it really does bring a lot of closure to the film because of so many different things that happen. So I really do love the scene between Joel and Carrie. They also have like another short scene where they first meet. I think that is also really great because it shows some different dynamics because people don't really love to approach Robert, whereas Carrie's character Claire just goes right up and is not abashed to, be a presence and kind of meet his standoffish ways and just knows that she has an opinion and is smart and is able to do whatever task that comes her way. I think that is really shown in that scene and is kind of reflected back towards Felicity Jones's character Gladys, because at the beginning of the film she also gives those different characteristics, and that kind of reflects in the love that Robert has for Gladys. So just a lot of great parallels. And again, Clint, great directing with these different actors coming together. I also think Joel has an amazing conversation with the actor. Nathaniel Arcand is a fantastic supporting performance in this film. He has a lot of great scenes with Joel. I really do love him. He is Nahilaway from Alberta, Canada, so represent. He was also just in Sinners. When I was watching the film, I thought I recognized him, but I wasn't 100% sure. But he is in Sinners. He's one of the indigenous bounty hunters that is chasing Remick at the beginning of the film. So great to see him in a much larger role in this film. He is one of the shopkeepers in town, and he gives Robert some work after he falls on hard time, and he's one of the only people that really regularly checks in on Robert. Nathaniel's been a working actor for a long time, since the 90s. He's been on Heartland and North of 60, all these different things. So it's great to see him in Sinners and also here in Train Dream. So I wanted to shout him out. I almost forgot, but I wanted to point out the actor Alfred Sheen. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I did look it up, but if I mispronounced it, I'm very sorry. He has a very minimal role at the beginning of the film, but makes a really big impact for Robert's character, and his soul kind of lingers throughout the rest of the film, and he'll kind of jump in at the most random moments, and again, breaks your heart. You are just stirring there in oh my goodness, all this dread and fear, and you just feel so isolated and feel all this regret and shame, and you just don't know what to do, and you feel for Robert because you know Robert is a really good man, but Alfred's character really does reflect his past and all of the wrong choices that he has made. I really do think this is a fantastic cast. I already mentioned William H. Macy, but he also gives a really great monologue that I kind of mentioned briefly, and I know a lot of people have been kind of talking about him for a possible awards. Who knows? Maybe he'll be able to squeeze his way in there. But out of all the awards, I really do think Joel Edgerton should get nominated for Best Leading Actor. He is just phenomenal in this film, and like I said, moved me very much to tears multiple times. So I would love to see him nominated in multiple different awards bodies, but at the Oscars, I think it's one of the best performances of the year, hands down. I also do love Felicity Jones too. I don't know if it's really nominated for supporting actress. I do think she gives a great performance, and they nominated her last year, so I feel like she has good chances of getting nominated once again. Kerry Condon is pretty small in the film, so I don't really think she would get nominated, but her monologue with Joel is just great. So who knows? Maybe she'll get nominated, but I really do think William H. Macy and Joel Edgerton are probably the strongest acting chances for nominations. I think cinematography should hands down be a shoo-in. It was just so gorgeous, all the different details like I mentioned. So cinematography, I know Clint Bentley is work on Sing Sing last year, and I definitely see some influence from that film in this this one. So hopefully that film was able to bring his name kind of, into the Academy sphere, and who knows, maybe that will help boost the film. I don't know if he would get a directing nomination, but I definitely think he could be in like the top 15, and same with film. After seeing it, I'm definitely going to move it up higher in my rankings, I think. Possible other awards nominations could be production design. I feel like that plays hand in hand with the cinematography in this film. Just so beautiful. The landscapes of the earth, of all the different forestries that we see, and the different like tents that the men are staying in, and like the backstory behind those tents. We're also seeing Robert and Gladys's home. We also get to go into town sometimes, so I think the production design is very interesting. I also think the costumes kind of tie into that. This is a period piece, kind of going back after the war, so really interesting to see the different clothing and kind of some like the undergarments that we get to see. So do love the production design and the costumes, so who knows, maybe we can sneak in there with some extra nominations. Besides that, I really do think the acting ones are probably the strongest, and cinematography. Besides that, I think it's going to be hard for this one to sneak into some places just because it is so competitive. But with this one, going with the limited release right now and then going to show up on Netflix in a couple weeks, I feel like this could definitely gain some momentum, and maybe it will push its way into the top 10. I definitely think it deserves it. I really do love the film, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who has the chance to go see it. And like I said, if you have the chance to go see it at the cinema, I highly recommend it. If you get to see it in 35 millimeter, take the chance to see it, because it's just such a breathtaking film. Like I said, magical. I was just so moved. I was teary-eyed, and it was definitely a great experience, and I want you guys to experience it as well. So thank you guys so much for joining me with this video, breaking down Train Dreams, a fantastic film from Clint Bentley for the 2025 season. Great film to end off the second half of the year, honestly. I'm definitely going to give it a second watch when it drops on Netflix, kind of see some of the things I missed, get back into that emotion. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. I think it's going to maybe be in my top 10 for 2025, possibly. You'll have to check out my Letterboxd. You can find me at Willow D. Steele there, and you can see my review and see my 2025 ranked list for all the films that I've seen. I've seen over 150 films of new 2025 releases, so go check out my list there. And while you're at it, you can check out my TikTok, where I post multiple videos related to like pop culture and film content, and I'm also on Awards Expert, so go give me a follow there so you can see how I'm rating and talking about all the different awards as it's going through the season all the way up to March. So check me out on my social media. Also, if you enjoyed this video and if you have some thoughts about Train Dreams, maybe they don't align with mine, let me know in the comments down below. I always try and read all the comments and reply back to you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification button. I post a lot of different reviews and awards predictions. I post multiple times a week, so if you don't hit the subscribe button and post notification button, you won't know when I post. So make sure you hit them and join my cinema loving community. I'm so grateful that you guys are helping me grow this here on YouTube and also on my other social media platforms. So thank you guys so much for joining my review today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. So thanks for joining, and bye.